Look at it. Just look at it. This glorious machine is the Asus Zephyrus Duo 15, and you're probably going to be seeing it in a lot of the best laptops conversations going forwards. Let's get the obvious things out of the way first. It's a dual-screen laptop. Now we've seen these before, but the ROG Zephyrus Duo 15 is the world's first gaming laptop to feature this dual-screen system, and the possibilities for gaming are wild. Asus invited us down to see the Asus Zephyrus Duo 15 firsthand last month, and we were suitably wowed by it, with some seriously impressive numbers when it comes to power. Packing an Intel 10th Gen Comet Lake i and/or i9 CPU, between 16 and 32 GB of DDR4 RAM, and an Nvidia GeForce RTX 2070 Super 2080 Super GPU, this is an absolute monster of a gaming laptop. There's some other fancy tech going on under the hood too, with liquid metal on CPU cooling, and some clever power savings that boost performance and battery life. Then there's the screens, which come in two flavors, HD and 4K. The Zephyrus Duo 15's main screen is a 15.6-inch screen in either Full HD, 1920x1080, or 4K, 3840x2160. The 4K screen costs more and looks better, but the HD screen actually has a better refresh rate at 300 Hz 3 milliseconds, which means games will look smoother in motion on it, even if they won't have quite the same pixel density. The secondary screen, and the Zephyrus Duo 15's party piece, is a 14.1-inch touchscreen with a resolution of 3840x1100. This gadget is the real selling point of the Zephyrus Duo 15. It's a gorgeous addition to the laptop, and we love the sleek mechanism that raises and lowers the secondary screen automatically as you open and close the laptop. But what do you actually use it for? As a gaming aid, Asus says that the secondary screen can be used to display information like scoreboards, mini-maps and inventories, stuff you want to have quick access to, but don't want taking up valuable screen real estate during gameplay. Of course, games won't automatically work with the second screen, but Asus says that it is already working with numerous developers to add interactive content for the second screen. It can also be used for streamers on Twitch and Mixer, as they can keep their streaming programs up on the bottom screen while they game on the main screen, which is pretty cool. And while it's made for gaming, you can easily use the second screen for multitasking. When working, the screen can hold 3 additional windows that you can swap between with a simple touch. Due to coronavirus outbreak messing with Asus's plans at the last minute, we didn't get much hands-on time with the Zephyrus Duo 15 at the event, as there was only the one device between a room full of journalists. What we can say is that during our time with it, the Zephyrus Duo 15's fancy dual-screen system worked wonderfully. Our only concern is that the usefulness of the second screen to games is going to depend entirely on support from developers. In our experience, these niche gadgets tend to get some early support when the device launches, before being forgotten about. Oh, and our other concern is the price, which is high. Like really high. The base model with an i7 CPU and HD screen comes in at $2,999, while the most expensive variant with an i9 CPU and 4K screen is an eye-watering $3,699. That is a lot of money to spend on a laptop, but you're always going to sink a hefty chunk of cash for a gaming laptop. The Alienware M15 that we reviewed earlier this year has some much cheaper configurations, but the top-end models in that line still cost north of $4,000. Considering the specs of the two machines, the Zephyrus Duo 15 looks like a bargain by comparison. Is it worth the money? It's hard to say at the moment, but even if the second screen does get support from the majority of game developers, the Zephyrus Duo 15 is still going to be a rich person's toy. We'll have our full thoughts later in the year when we get one of these monsters in for review. Now excuse me, I need to figure out what I can sell, so I can afford this beautiful machine. One of the things that occurred to me while I was reviewing Asus's dual-screen notebook, the ZenBook Duo, was how well the concept would work for a dedicated gaming machine. Dual-screen gaming isn't unheard of nowadays, and it's surprising that it's only now that a manufacturer has created a gaming notebook with 2 screens, aborted prototypes notwithstanding. That's been addressed by Asus with their new Zephyrus Duo 15. Thanks to a new tilting secondary panel, gaming-grade internals, and a super-fast 300 Hz display, the Taiwanese company has finally found the right formula for the notebook of tomorrow. While Asus's ZenBook Duo did a lot of things right in terms of accommodating that dual-screen display, it wasn't perfect. Thermal performance was a big issue, especially if you wanted to use it to play games, and at the time of review, the GeForce RTX 2060 wasn't powerful enough to take advantage of the beautiful 4K OLED display, despite being loaded with enough RAM and storage to make a gaming desktop blush. That's all changed, of course, with the ROG Zephyrus Duo 15. This purpose-built dual-screen gaming notebook overcomes many of the problems that the ZenBook Duo had with clever engineering, and stuffs it with top-tier hardware that guarantees blisteringly fast performance and plenty of frames. The difference, of course, is in the execution. For one thing, the secondary display on the ROG Zephyrus Duo 15 tilts upward up to 13 degrees, which avoids the glare and angle problems that plagued the ZenBook Duo. What's more, tilting the secondary display allows air to come into the chassis from above, which cools the internals of the notebook to avoid thermal throttling issues. This small change also means that the chassis no longer angles upward when you open the lid, which is a bit of a bummer. That's impressive hardware for sure, but since we weren't allowed to benchmark or install games on any of Asus's new notebooks when they were shown to us, we'll have to wait until we get actual review units to test just how much of a performance gain you'll be getting with the new hardware. The chassis is rather slim at 20.9mm thick, and I was surprised to see the unused area beneath where the ScreenPad Plus extends out from wasn't been used as a large intake or exhaust to the high-performance components inside. Nevertheless, Asus is convinced it's done more than enough to keep its components cool. One enhancement Asus is offering with this generation is Thermal Grizzly liquid metal compound on the CPU. Applied by custom equipment and specially fenced off to prevent conductive goop tracking across your components with time, this compound and dual-end blade fans help reduce noise and temperatures. We've yet to run any benchmarks on the laptop in person or even experience a game running on it, so we can't say how these changes shake out just yet. Thermal Grizzly will be rolled out across Asus's entire 10th gen lineup, so expect to see it throughout the range soon enough. Asus did tell us that it hasn't used the same liquid metal on the GPU, however, as the cost didn't make sense with the limited extra cooling, and therefore performance, that it could afford a graphics chip. On the CPU side though, it reportedly makes a huge difference to the peak thermals. So, that's it for today. Hope you liked the video, and feel free to ask anything in the comments section.